Black Gay Men is a channel for men looking to date who just need a little encouragement or guidance on how to do it successfully. But what if the only thing cramping your dating life is geography? For real, what if Mr. Right is tall and dark and handsome and smart and a freak? He's just 2 time zones away. I've dated long distance before, and the success of those relationships really just boiled down to 3 questions. Number 1, how long are we going to be long distance? Dating is like a dream, because dreams without deadlines are nightmares. Write that down. What is the plan to make our long distance love affair more conventional? Or is that even something that we want? Number 2, how are we going to negotiate dating while we are long distance? It's easy to ghost someone when they're not in your city. Where is the integrity of our dating situation? Are we visiting each other regularly? How frequently are we communicating? And have we made agreements about these things? Do you have enough integrity individually to give the other person or people something they can commit to and be certain of in your dating situation? Which leads to number 3. Are we patient and committed enough to endure dating until we're no longer long distance? Every dating situation will be filled with ups and downs along your journey to happiness. Do you have the patience to figure this out with another person, far away or otherwise? Tonight, we have 3 guests in the studio and 2 more joining online as we try to figure out what is the allure of long distance dating. Could distance be the only thing keeping so many of us single? And do we have what it takes to make long distance dating work? I'm excited to announce new colors in Dear Black Gay Men merch for the fall. We've got our trusty basics like the gray hoodie I'm wearing now, but we just launched sage, maroon, and sand colors on our newly redesigned website. As much as I love the follows, we need your support. And shopping our merch is the easiest way for you to help us continue to create content right here on Dear Black Gay Men Podcast. You can shop us at dearblackgaymen.shop. The link is in the description. Whether you're 1 or 100 miles away, we've got to see each other sometime if we're gonna make it work. This is Long Distance Dating Explained, and the show starts right now. What up, though? Jay the Gentleman here. That's at JAI the Gentleman on IG. We're live from the back room right here on Dear Black Gay Men Podcast. I've got a huge announcement coming at the bottom of the show. But first, I'll go on record saying tonight's guests are some of the sexiest we've had so far. We have the creator of one of the sexiest sipping paints, a guest who puts the titty in titillating with his podcast Culture Club. He puts the D in interior designer, a true daddy, and one that I'm surprised to know is a switch. Please welcome Jay, Wesley, and Dre in the studio. And streaming in, we have Daddy Rod and the one and only Hope Giselle. Is everybody there?
Yeah.
I'm here.
I don't feel
there?
safe
I'm here.
around straight people.
Never fucking.
What's going on? Sure. We'll go with it. How are y'all doing?
I'm amazing.
Wes, Jay, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Dre?
I'm feeling amazing.
Hope?
I'm good.
Daddy Rod?
I'm here and ready to get it started.
All right, everybody is here. Let's get into the episode.
Yeah.
Okay, teammates, every week, the first question I always ask is, what have you had it with in Black gay culture? Jay, I'm going to start with you. What have you had it with in Black gay culture?
Anything goes. I think we got to have boundaries. I think in Black culture, we kind of have been conditioned to where anything goes, anything is acceptable. I think that's cool, but we need to have some type of boundaries.
Anything goes? You talking about sex or you talking about something else?
I think everything. We got to have some boundaries and restrictions. Everything is very open and we can do. It's like, let's be, and it can be individualized, but we do need to have some boundaries.
Like, what would you want to put boundaries around, though? Help me understand what you mean by that.
And it needs to be individual boundaries, but we need boundaries into yes means yes on this, no is no on that. And I think we are very wishy-washy when it comes to boundaries.
Are you talking about boundaries or consent?
No. Boundaries. I think like in the gay community,
okay,
it is very common, right? For if me and him are best friends, and let's say I was sleeping with you, it's common for most people to have a conversation that if y'all started to kick it, I should be okay with that. You know, hey, you need to lighten up. Come on now, we in Atlanta. Have some boundaries and some restrictions, and that goes in beyond just sexual activities. We just don't have no boundaries. Everything is just like, you taking that too light. It's like, no, we do need to have some seriousness, and we do need to have some accountability.
Some standards.
Got to bring them in the room.
I think that now I'm with you when you're right. I agree. We need some standards. How do you think we should develop those though? Are you saying culture needs standards or
culture needs standards? And I feel like that goes back to, we in this culture now to where everything's okay. Nobody's wrong, and you need to mind your business. I come from the old school. If you see something, say something. Okay? You was acting a fool, baby. We said something.
You kind of country though.
I'm from Arkansas, born and raised. North Little Rock, NAWF. Yeah, you from Dallas to hold. Okay.
Okay, Wes, what have you had it with?
The judgment. We all judge each other for whatever particular reason, whether we're too feminine, too masculine, don't have this, don't do this, don't have a degree, you're a slut, whatever the case may be. We're just too judgmental. And I'm one of those people that if we're a group, a minority group already, and we're already chastised from the rest of the world, how the rest of the world looks at us, why is there so much infighting amongst our group? I have a problem with that. And I don't want to hear that everyone fights and everyone does this and everyone. We're not everyone, because we saw by this election who's really going to be affected by it. And so as a group, I feel like we should always kumbaya with each other, but we don't. There's always judgment. There's always whatever. And so
why do you think that is though? Where does that come from? We've both been in this culture. All of us.
I've heard all of the excuses about blacks and slavery and back in the day and this and that and the third, and it's just expected because that's what we know. And I don't care about none of that bullshit, because at the end of the day, I feel like,
hold on now, slavery is not bullshit.
But at the end of the day, we're talking
culture.
about today, and we're talking about how we should move forward and be with each other. Like as a group, I saw somebody on Instagram talking about the Black Project 2025 and how we all need to come together and be in unison, and there should be someone spearheading this and all of that. I would love the day where that actually happens. But for whatever particular reason, whether they're black and straight, or black and gay, or black and trans, or black and fat, or black and too skinny, or black and feminine, or black and poor, or black and rich, there's like so many groups within the overarching main group. It's just annoying. And within all of those subgroups and categories and all of the labels upon the labels upon the labels upon the labels, we judge each other. And it's annoying. That part.
Okay, but now you've put a couple things together that I want to be clear on. You're saying, I do think though that labels are important. Identity matters though. Are you? There's a whiteboard going around that says "Keep your answers short."
There we go.
But labels matter. So, but with labels comes a little bit of you can't sit with us, and you're saying we need to get rid of it.
That would be nice.
Okay, I'll give you that. Let's go to the online. Daddy Rod, you there? We can't hear you. Okay, Daddy Rod, what have you had it with?
I've had it. Oh, wait. Are we talking about black gay community specifically, or the gay community in general?
Dear black gay men. We don't care about everybody
I just wanted to be sure.
Although that's a judgment.
I don't feel
safe
around straight people.
What is going on?
Let me know in the comments.
Okay, Daddy Rod, what have you had it with?
I've had it with questions like this, because one of the things that I'm tired of is black gay men, myself included, always talking about what we don't like, the sissy shit, the faggotry, all of this. And if this is what we're mainly talking about, no wonder we have problems with each other. One of the things I try my best to do is really talk about what good happens within the community. What do we like about each other? Because we're quick to read each other, even ourselves sometimes. And I'm just like, yeah, that's the easy thing to do. But why do we still go to the clubs? Why do we still identify? What is it that keeps us here in the community? Maybe if we emphasize the good, what works for us, maybe we might be better as a community.
I mean, I agree with you that emphasizing the good is an important part of our culture. But my question is always rooted in what aspects of black gay culture can we do without? And
Can we do without? Can we do without? Then I'm going to say, and I've encountered this a lot, the hypocrisy. I think
Okay.
one of the things I try to do is live my life out loud in terms of being unapologetic about being versatile, being older, being sexually active, and things of that nature. And I know sometimes I get criticized publicly for it, also being kinky, being in the leather community. But then when nobody's looking, when it's just private, people got all kinds of questions for me. So if there's something I'd like us to do without, is the feeling that we have to play respectability politics and posture ourselves a certain way, but then when nobody's looking, then you decide the real you. I'd like us all to really be authentic
It's
from
it's
jump
it's
and
funny
not give a
because
fuck about what anyone else has to say.
because Wes is over here like that's judgment, and I'm thinking
There's
I agree.
there's a difference. There's a difference. When a judgment is about what I'm casting on you, what I'm saying is fuck the judgment. Be who you are. Don't posture one way publicly, especially around something that I'm saying or that I'm expressing about myself. But then when no one else is looking, then it's like, Daddy Rod, Rod, I want to know more about what you were saying.
Everything's not appropriate for everything. And everybody has different walks of life. So I think it goes back to the judgment part. If I'm a police officer and I want to be kinky, I shouldn't have to display that for you to feel like I'm a part of the gay community because I didn't do it publicly on Twitter like everybody else. I should still have the right to express how I choose. My thing is, that's a valid statement, but people should be able to express or indulge how they want to as long as it's in a healthy way. Yeah. And they have to do it what's real for them. I think a lot of us are wearing our reality and saying, put this on.
Yeah.
That's not my reality. I have to wear it for what's for me. Just like any relationship. We're finna talk about long distance relationships. That looks different for everybody. And everybody comes in to say, ooh, I need this. Everybody doesn't need to see their mate every day. I do. I want to touch you. I want to grab your toe. I want to get on your nerves.
Okay.
But for some people, they don't need that. And that's totally okay.
Do you think that it sounds like you're saying we're trying to create this one cultural template of how we are to be.
Yeah, and that doesn't exist.
It does feel that way.
And it doesn't serve anybody well.
Okay. Hope, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, what have you had it with, Hope?
Non-supportive butch queens. Like, I'm sick of the fact that I see how black gay men go hard for every woman except the woman that they have the closest understanding with and the closest lived experience to. It's like they gonna go hard for their sisters, their mamas, the girl that they just met in the mall. But a black trans woman, oh girl, bye. Especially if you don't pass or if they don't see it for you, their protection, girl, goodbye.
Do y'all experience that? Because you talk about judgment, you talk about propriety. Daddy Rod talked about hypocrisy. The non-supportive butch queens, I think that is the culmination of all these things that we're talking about. How there is an aspect of our community, our culture. Hope you're talking about people of trans experience, where the girls don't cut for them. Isn't that like the pinnacle of it?
Yeah. I mean, we could just be kind of mean. Like, I just feel like the girls, if I was to say anything, I just wish we could be a little nicer to each other, to be honest. Like, can we just start small, like foundation-wise? Like, I just really feel like we can just start off with
Why do
something
we
small
have to even do that,
and just be nice to
You
each
should be
other.
giving common respect just
I
out of
mean, but
general.
it's like we don't know how to do that. I don't know why.
That's you know how to do it when you get in front of white folks. When you clock in, no, it ain't no some. We code switch when it's appropriate for us and when we feel like we don't have to wear this ego. Niggas clock in, I don't know if I can say that on here, but people clock in every day.
Black gay men, you
Okay,
can say-
great.
Okay.
It's because
You
of
know,
slavery, though. It's because of slavery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, even with that, like people go to work though, and they're making sure that they are saying the right words. They're not offending anyone. Everyone's hello, good morning. You hate Susan, but hey, you still are there for her in the morning. Y'all get projects done. I see people, trans, white, black. I see everybody for who you want to identify as. I think the disconnect is that there's this need of advocacy for trans women, and that's needed across the board. That's been a thing. However, I can't name a lot of people who actually have good relationships with trans women. And not to say they have bad ones too, but if you look at people's friend group, is there a trans person in your friend group? Is there, and I think there's a lack of just connection, which is why I love at my shows We have trans people, straight people, everybody, because everybody gets that moment to see for these 2 hours. We are all human. We all shake ass. We all are got to deal with this nigga Trump. We all gas is too high, eggs is too high, everything. And in this moment, we get to come in and say, I see you. I see you. Okay, I see. This is a good time. And it's respect there. I think we just don't have common respect, and everybody's walking in with chips on their shoulder. Like, you didn't see me, but did you see them?
Common respect when you don't understand something. Like, I feel like you go to where you relate. So a lot of times we don't relate, or I don't understand, or like I simply just don't relate. Then I feel like we don't have nothing in common. So I don't have the need or the pressure to kind of like force my way to go out and make a connection with you.
Everyone always says treat people the way you want to be treated. Like, respect people the way you want to be respected. And I feel like if everyone is able to say that, why can't they just live that?
Right.
Like, I could go anywhere and be around anybody and just have a good time. One of my quotes that I always say on my YouTube video is adopting similar connections despite our differences. I live that every day. I just recently decided to do like a trip where I have something that I call the Brothers Cruise. And I did.
Which I haven't gotten invited to that either.
It's on my public platform, so everyone's invited. But I switched it to saying brothers and sisters, and some of my brothers was like, "Why are you bringing the women? Why we got to have the women on the cruise? We don't need the women." And I mean, I don't know what that is. I really don't. But I really don't think it's going to change in our lifetimes, to be honest, because everyone, like you said, just has a chip on their shoulder for whatever particular reason.
But I think that a lot of us have a chip on our shoulder because
Why is it a chip though?
okay, we have a cookie on our shoulder. I think that a lot of us have that on our shoulder because there is not an atmosphere in our culture that says, I don't need to have that. Like what you were saying, Jay, is that you come to your events and everyone is welcome. Just like when I came out, the clubs that I went to, all the girls were in there. You could go to the Brick and live your best life, and all of us came out sweaty and half naked. That was just the way that culture was set up at the time. But we don't have an atmosphere in culture that says connect to people. We don't have an atmosphere in culture that says my Judy does not have to be exactly like me. We have an atmosphere in culture that says if you're not like me, then you're like them. And I think that is why we have division, why people don't understand bisexuality, people don't understand pansexuality, or people don't understand people with trans experience, or you got to be masculine, or you got to be feminine, or you got to be all the whatevers, because we want to surround ourselves with ourselves instead of surrounding ourselves with us. But they're telling me I got to move on. Did y'all see Terry Joe got in a fight?
No.
So Terry Joe is this TikToker who does these lives where he channels this Caucasian woman. He says it just like that, a Caucasian woman. He's a Southern Caucasian woman that he's clearly not Southern. I mean, not Caucasian, but he's Southern.
Gotcha.
And he was in a fight. What I don't like about this is what I've had it with, is the fact that he was jumped, but he's the person being escorted out. And he's being jumped by non-black people.
That part.
I was about to say, were they all three black?
Everybody who was engaged in this particular tussle with him, them, I don't know his pronouns. I'm not attempting to misgender them. But all the people who were engaged with this person were not black.
Oh, okay.
And Terry Joe is the one who got escorted out. I think it sucks. That's what I've had it with. They're telling me I got to move on, so we're going to go through this. I talked to Armani Walton about being a big dick bottom and an OnlyFans content creator when this came up. Check this out.
There's no masculine way to take dick.
There is a very masculine way to take dick. I think the act of taking dick has to be the most masculine thing a man can do.
Really?
Like, because in order to take some dick, you got to be self-aware. You got to know what you want. You got to know what you don't want. You have to have boundaries. You have to be able to say what you mean what you say. You got to be able to put effort into it. You got to do all these things that are manly and masculine. And I think a lot of people just boil it down to how high your voice gets when you start moaning. But all of the prep work that goes into that, because think about, you can apply that same template to running a business, to raising a family. You got to put work into that. You got to say what you mean what you say, be where you're going to be, do what you got to do. Bottoms are probably the only people in our culture that I can absolutely count on to do those things. You can watch the whole interview on our Patreon. Subscribing is one of the easiest ways to support what we do here on Dear Black Gay Men. You'll get exclusive content that you won't see anywhere else. To become a patron, visit patreon.com/Dear Black Gay Men. The link is in the description. During the break, let me know if in the comments, is taking dick masculine? Why or why not? And when we come back, we'll be talking about what it takes to make long distance dating work. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at JAI the Gentleman so you never miss a beat. This is Long Distance Dating Explained, and we'll be right back. What up, though? The conversations stay lit on Dear Black Gay Men podcast. Hookup, entanglement, situation, relationship, everything from dushing to dating. A top verb, but I am not a top noun. I am a guru at first dates. It's new every Wednesday. Subscribe. What happened? Okay, Aaron, do you think HIV is still a big deal?
I do. When I look at the numbers and things like that, I have to like burst myself out of my own bubble because for me, it's not a big deal. I go to the doctor, I get my 2 shots or my shots every 2 months, and like HIV is a non-factor for me. Mm-hmm. But then I realize all of the privileges in my life that allow me to do that.
What about you, Verity? Is HIV a big deal? Because you are an ally.
I am an ally. And so I feel like on a day-to-day, it's honestly not something that's top of mind. But being a part of the podcast, and I didn't realize just how prevalent it still was.
That's why this episode is brought to you in part by the HIV Vaccine Trials Network. HIV has been a huge part of my life as a gay man, and the HIV Vaccine Trials Network is working to minimize that, because ending HIV is about all of us.
For me, as an ally, I wasn't truly aware of the impact HIV has on our lived experiences until we started working with the HIV Vaccine Trials Network. Now that I know about this network, I feel like there's a real way for me to get involved in the fight against HIV. I've been able to get educational resources on HIV, stay up to date on HIV research, and enroll in studies to help end HIV.
If you would like more information or get involved in an HIV vaccine trial, whether you're living with HIV or not, visit helpendhiv.org. That's helpendhiv.org. The link is in the description. Get in the conversation. This comment says, I did a good job. It's time for a congratulatory ejaculation session. Chat live on the show and get exclusive content.
The bottoms are going to eat me up for this in the chat.
Join the Dear Black Gay Men Insiders group on Facebook. We are live from the back room right here on Dear Black Gay Men podcast. On the show tonight, we've got the girls that are single and have long distance dating experience. We've got the girls that actually in a long distance relationship. Then there are the girls that don't like long distance at all. My question for everyone tonight is, if a man had everything you were looking for, would you consider dating long distance? I'm gonna start in the studio. Dre.
Yeah.
Would you date somebody long distance?
I would date somebody long distance.
How long distance is long distance?
You mean like what state?
Like how far would you go?
In this country. You need to be in this country, like so I can have hope that I'm gonna see you a little bit off.
Okay. I mean, you can see people.
I know, but I'm being realistic.
I just got back from South Africa with hope.
No,
I would date somebody a South African.
No, I'm not doing that far. I'm like, no. Like I need you to be United States.
I would get a passport stamp. What about you, Jay? Would you date somebody long distance?
I possibly would, since I travel every week anyway. So it's possible.
Do you?
It's not my preference.
You're dating someone now, yes?
I am. I'm still in the dating talking. We're not exclusive, but we're getting to know each other.
Because you travel so often, does it feel like you're long distance now?
No. I'm in Atlanta throughout the week.
But you do travel a lot, like a flight attendant. Like flight attendants, I've dated flight attendants, and it felt like they were long distance.
I think when it comes to the weekends, I'm gone from Thursday to Sunday maybe, but I'll be back.
Yeah,
you got me majority of the week. You got me majority of the week.
Yeah.
Thursday to Sunday is 4 of the 7 days in a week.
You got me majority of the week.
Yeah, I mean, wear him out while he
3
here.
out of 7 is not a majority.
And then the person who I'm currently dating travels with me. So.
Oh, okay. So that's the difference.
And I think at this big age, you should be able to move.
Okay. Okay. What about you, Wes? Would you date someone long distance?
Mm-mm.
Your face been upside down this whole time. Why not?
It's just not for me. But I love it for y'all if y'all love it. For y'all.
Why
gonna be
But
not on the
it's-
table for me?
But it's just not for me.
But I would be open.
Okay.
Wait, Wes, I want a long distance date you. What's up? Like, why you against it?
Why are you against long distance?
I remember
dating?
she walked around with a thing saying short answer. So I'm going to let Hope and everyone else weigh in.
I'm the damn host here.
Oh, okay.
Right. The boss is right here.
So
my thing.
outside of my answer, what else are you?
Why are you so abjunctly against long distance?
Because I like what I like when I want to like it, and if I can't have the option of liking it in 5 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour, then I don't want to worry about it.
Could you also not? So you wouldn't date someone who travels a lot, then, like a flight attendant?
I tried doing that with a flight attendant, and it just was not my thing.
Okay, Hope, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, so Hope, you have a very unique situation. What's going on with that? Okay, you have a very unique situation where you are in a relationship, you are married, but your spouse, he travels a lot. Does it feel like you're in a long distance relationship now?
Yeah, definitely.
And you travel a lot too. But
I was gonna say, but even before that, I was the one that was always traveling. I mean, I still am always traveling. So we're like, we spend a lot of time apart most of the time, which is bad, especially since the marriage, because I think that we grew that kind of sort of like that ridiculous need to want to be with each other all the time. But I think that you make it work when you like people. People, I think that that whole statement about like when people like you or whatever the thing is, y'all know the old saying that people say
yeah.
like when you ain't got to try when you like somebody, or a person who likes you will do the things. Like if you like somebody, you'll do the things, you know.
But did y'all start out at this frequency of traveling like when y'all first started dating?
Actually, yeah. When we started dating, he was in Baltimore and I was in DC. And
Is that
so
long
it was
distance?
for me, yes, because I'm in the vein of West. Like I used to be in the same vein like that West was in, where it's just like for me, I want what I want when I want it, and because I'm a very hot and cold girl sexually, you got about a good 20 minutes to get here before I change my mind.
Period. Period. And that's why
I
I,
know
say you
that's
need to be
right.
in
That's
this
good.
country.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So my question for everybody, Daddy Rod, I want to tap you in here as well. But how do you get to the point of being committed to somebody if there is a high frequency of travel? Like Hope says, she started out dating long distance. For those who are interested in long distance dating, like how do you even get to where you like them without? Like it feels like it's a chicken or the egg. Do I like them and then I deal with the distance, or do they got to get close and then I don't figure how do y'all figure it out?
Consistency. Like,
So,
how much are we talking?
That
How much are
part.
you hitting me up? How much effort are
so
you showing? It really is just about your effort. Like, you can build a bond through social media, through DMs. Like, my
I
first
can't.
long distance relationship was, I don't want to tell my age, but I'm gonna do it anyways. My first boyfriend I met off Crushbot. It was an app
What
like
is that?
MySpace. It was
Crushbot?
What is
a dating
Crushbot?
app like MySpace or something. It came out around that same
This
time.
older than
wow. Okay.
BGC?
Yeah, it was like BGC. Yes,
Okay.
yes. Thank you, Heather.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But
Thank
yeah,
you.
Yes.
it was something like that.
Translated it. He translated it for me because I was like,
I'm
Crush
just-
Spot, what the fuck?
It
Okay.
was one of those. But I'm like,
Wow.
he hit me up so much that I end up dating a guy. I'm gonna say his name. I end up meeting this guy
Don't
named.
say his name.
I'm gonna say his
weak.
name. Diesel, I met you. I met this guy named Diesel.
Nah, when you say Diesel, I think of a porn star. A
It's
very
not that
specific
one.
porn
Same.
star.
But we dated for almost like 8 months to a year, I believe, and it was really just all like long distance. Like
How old were you at the time?
I was 18.
So,
See, that's some 18-year-old shit.
It was. It really was. But every
'Cause
time
I
I saw
had a-
him, it was like,
I
oh
had
my
an
God.
8-month relationship with a boy I met on BGC
So-
when BGC was brown.
That part.
Daddy Rod, hey, would you
So-
date someone long
yeah.
distance?
So it's funny because for the longest time I was with Wes. I was like, no, I'm not. No, because for
Okay.
similar reasons. I like what I like. I want what I want when I want it. The irony was what changed for me was um, 2 years. Yeah, 2 years ago, I was in Atlanta for a work conference.
It's
and there
always
was
in
a-
Atlanta.
Listen. And there's a friend of mine who I've known for almost 2 decades, and we've always been attracted to each other, and we had that vibe when I came down that time, and we looked at each other and we were like, you know what? There's an energy here. Let's go ahead and explore it. And it's funny because, and so that was a long distance relationship, and it's funny because the relationship that I am in now that has been going on for 2 years, which is also long distance. Um,
Oh, so you
it's
like a
very.
long distance connoisseur?
I'm starting to feel like that.
You
And never
like
say never. First
you
of
a
all, I've
long
learned
distance
never
daddy?
say never. And I'll try to make it quick because the other question that you had was, how do you know when to commit? And I agree with what Hope said around effort. Just to tell this little bit, it was in October when I had met the other guy who is my current partner. We met at a conference in San Juan. And I was like, you know what? You're real cool. I
Like
like
flex.
you.
Right.
I'm
It's like
involved with
you met at the
someone. I'm
conference
not
in
a
Puerto
primary
Rico.
partner. But what was very interesting was when I got back home to DC from that conference, I caught COVID.
Mhm.
Now, what was very interesting was the guy I was seeing at that point. I just happened to mention both of them on a Friday that I had COVID. The guy in Atlanta, I didn't hear from him until Monday. The guy who is in Brooklyn, um, he called me Friday. He checked up on me Saturday. He checked up on me Sunday and on Monday. And I said, I got to look at this. Who's the one who's more invested? Who's the
Mhm.
one who's giving me more energy? Who's the one who's not?
I mean,
And just like with any relationship.
I appreciate that, but
But
you said one relationship you had known them for
both of
20
them were.
years and whatnot. I ain't got 20 years ago, I was 19. There is not a single person in my life that I was around 20 years ago that I would even consider right now because them niggas is dusty.
Listen, I mean, and that works for you. I'm just saying, for me, at that point, we had known each other, and we had not just a sexual relationship, but we were also good friends. We were friends with benefits for a number of
Yes, friends
years,
with
Here's what
But
Biggie
and
was
we
saying.
had.
but the part
And
of that
what
that
we
I don't
decided at that point was, because there was just a strong energy, a strong connection, we were like, can we see if we can take this further?
But the part of that
Instead
that
of
I
just
don't
fucking.
understand, Daddy Rod,
Okay.
and hope because you are currently in this two city relationship as well. Hope I'm
Mhm.
gonna direct this at you. How do you get there? How do you get to liking somebody who's so far away? I don't even know if I have a frame of reference around taking someone seriously that is like you in DC. Like if somebody in DC was like, "Hey Jay, what's up?" I'd be like, "Oh, that's cute," but
Oh, you gotta be a
I
little
think for
delusional.
me, I think for me, what it was.
he said you gotta be a little delusional.
I'm just being vulnerable. I was a little
You gotta
delusional.
be a little
Delusional.
I
delusional.
enjoyed my
Not really.
imagination.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
I
I
Go ahead,
mean,
Hope.
mean,
you
but
gotta be a
no,
little delusional.
a
Go
little
ahead.
delusional goes crazy. But no, the thing about it was, before we were ever like in an official relationship, what I saw was the consistency to come and see me, right? The
Mhm.
ability to make sure that I knew that there was interest, and also doing so while giving me my space. I think that there's a healthy balance that I need in long distance that says I'm thinking about you in a way that feels constant, but I'm also willing to come and see you in a way that lets you know that I'm like, that this is serious for me. And for me, I think at the beginning of the relationship, there was a lot on his plate. And the fact that he was still willing to put me in the schedule on that plate said to me that I was somebody that he was taking seriously. And then when we did enter the relationship and I started to travel and he started to see how much my work was really demanding of me,
Mhm.
there was a need to communicate when things didn't go well. I think that when a person can show me that not only do they want to see me by coming to see me, right? But when things change and the other one like moves around, that person is willing to communicate with you like, hey, babe, I know that when you hop on these planes and you're doing your thing, you kind of neglect everything that's going on outside of you. And I still would like time with you when you're away. That's somebody that wants to be with you. And that to me, that communication rather than ghosting or using that as an excuse to cheat on me or using that as an excuse to like go and do something else lets me know that I'm where you want to be, regardless of where I am. And that, to me, that long distance, we can work through that.
Okay, so I'm gonna redirect to the people in the room. So, question for the room: do we have the vulnerability necessary to get to what Hope is talking about? Wes?
I already answered my question regarding long distance relationships, and I'm not gonna waste my time moving forward. I'm just not.
But
I
even
go like a lot
so,
of these instances where he said he was in San Juan and Atlanta. That's great. If I visit a DC, I've never been to DC. Let's just say I go to DC and I meet this amazing man, whatever that means to me. Okay, I'm going back home on Monday. That's it. I'm not trying to. We could be pen pals, but I'm not trying to engage with anything further because I know what I want for me. And that's just how it is for me. It is what it is. But all of the things that she's saying like make sense. Like, yes, I feel like the communication, the consistency, when people decide to make time, because people fail to realize that me making time for you is a conscious decision.
Right.
Because time for me is expensive. So if I decide to say here at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock or whatever on Monday we're gonna talk, that's me showing that I genuinely have an interest in you. So when someone pays it forward and decides to spend their, hard-earned time on you, I value that. So if she's receiving all of that, then that's amazing. I understand why she would engage more. But for me, no, it's a dub. No thanks.
Okay, Dre. So Mr. D, I love seeing that name in there. Mr. D says, no long distance from me. I need to touch and I need to see you in person. That's what you said.
I agree. I gotta touch you. I mean, and I also feel like, I'm gonna be honest. If you are really busy, right? And I don't know, I can't speak for everybody. I'm gonna speak for my life. I'm a creative. I'm an entrepreneur. I do a lot of things. I'm busy. I also expect you to be busy in that same right. So there might be, there is, like she said, this unwillingness to just be around each other just because and not being productive. I do want somebody who wants me, who shows interest. I think all relationships show all of those things. However, it comes down to the individual. What do you want? For him, he said he's not interested in long distance. So he was upfront. So anybody who's trying to holler at Wes, he just told you he's not interested if you don't live in the Atlanta area. So at that point, you take him for face value. Stop being a DC person or somewhere else trying to get into a situation with him that requires manipulation or you being somebody else. He just told you at face value. Long distance, it's a no-go.
What about you, Dre?
See, I'm crazy. I'm delusional. I can be a little delusional, so I want to change his mind. I'm going to change Wes' mind. I'm just
a little delusional. Surprise.
No, Blair. But I would consider, I'm very open-minded. Like, I have to be honest. Are
you like a hopeless romantic? Is that what you're saying?
I can be. If you tap into it, I can tap into it. Like, I'm very versatile. So it just depends on how much I like you. Mm-hmm. It just depends on like how good we talking. Oh. But I'm open-minded for real. Like, based off how much energy you're putting into this, and do I really believe this? How much are you trying? Like, where's your effort at? Like, I'm really into effort.
And see, I think ironically, I'm more of the mind of Wes, because in my head, if, for instance, someone hits me up or I'm traveling.
Why is that ironic?
Because I try to play the devil's advocate, and I very rarely let people know my opinions. But like, if I'm traveling, like I just got back from a trip, right? Mm-hmm. If somebody was down there that was amazing, and they are in another country, another time zone, on another, and there's an ocean between us, then I'm not going to entertain anything from them, no matter how much energy they put into it, because I'm like, how often would I be around you?
Right? I will say that if a relationship is something that you desire, and you're currently not in one for whatever particular excuse you want to give yourself, I feel you need to step out of your regular routine to figure out if you're ever going to be in a relationship. And stepping out of your routine could mean doing a long distance relationship and trying it out, because your person may not be in the city and or state that you are currently.
That part.
I mean, if all you do is go to work, come home, go to work, come home, how are you finding your mate? If you don't step out of your box, you're never going to be in a relationship.
I said that when I talked to a room full of introverts. Mm-hmm. Awesome Adrian said that's exactly how I move west. Like, okay, if I'm in the city again and we see each other, cool, but the expectation isn't there.
Is that y'all protecting yourself though? Have y'all always been this way? Like, since, like, it just sounds like, I don't want to say trauma, but have y'all always been this way? Like, you never had an experience where it's like, okay, even though he's staying in California, I like him so much, I'm gonna entertain it and I'm gonna see where it goes. I'm gonna go with the flow. And then you got hurt, and now you are this virgin.
No, that's me protecting the person, whoever that person may be, because I know who I am. Mm-hmm. So I don't. That's it. I'm not. It is what it is. If I'm telling you how it is, you need to understand that and respect that. And I'm not going to dance the dance with you to try to figure out if it's going to work, because now you're going to be caught up in love and rapture or whatever that may look like for you. Mm-hmm. And I've already explained to you how it is over here. That's another problem with a lot of individuals, that they don't know who they are, and that y'all end up getting with these people that don't even know themselves. And so y'all find out 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 years later that this shouldn't have never happened. I'm not one of those people.
Okay.
I like Wes.
They told me to move on. Okay, up next, we'll be talking about how you can negotiate wants, needs, and desires when you're 2,000 miles away. But first, I want to know in the comments, have you ever been in a long distance relationship? Let me know. And we'll be talking about the vulnerability needed to make sure long distance dating work. But first, be sure to follow us on Patreon and catch exclusive content from Dear Black Gay Men. This is Long Distance Dating Explained. And we will be right back. It was so quiet for that break. Was I supposed to cue some music in? Oh, I'm still. What is stigma? I truly believe that it comes up when you think something can't happen to you. Like when we think we could never be femme, so we end up with femmephobia laced all up and through our dating profiles. Or when we don't be out there like that, so we slut shame people for doing openly what we try to sneak and do privately. But there aren't too many spaces where stigma rises to a criminal level like it does with HIV.
Knowingly gave her HIV and never told her he was infected.
We're talking to 4 black men from across the country, all living with HIV. I want to see how stigma comes up in their lives and what we can all do to overcome it. This show is great. Well, we're live from the back room right here on Dear Black Gay Men Podcast. John, did we have any comments coming in during the break? Awesome Adrian says, I think my answer is obvious. Never not one. Awesome Adrian, let me know. You've never dated long distance or you never will again in the future. Let me know which of those it is. You've never done it in the past. You've never done it in the future. Mr. D says, wait, not the door closed, LOL. Must be an extended after dark segment coming later. Ooh. Oh, they talking about that door. Y'all didn't even know y'all.
They observant?
Say what?
Everybody knows. Everybody sees everything. Now that I think about it, I am think about it, I mean, a couple imaginary long distance relationships. There may be something to the delusional thing.
No,
I told you.
He said distance, long distance. I need you to understand.
Is that what he
That
wrote?
comment
That's what he
said
said.
long distance
That's what he
Capital
relationship.
D.
Intention, distance, long
Distance relationship.
distance relationships.
Mhm.
Okay,
That mean bring
good
that
catch,
ass here,
Hope.
boy.
There's a
catch,
couple
Hope.
of people that are getting the dick
The
from
long
afar.
That part.
distance.
How many
They
is
might be
that?
getting it from
That
one of these
I'm not quite
CPAs.
sure what that means, but I caught that too.
It's possible.
Love that. Okay, now that we've talked about whether or not we could be in a long distance relationship, now we're going to take the conversation a little deeper. I interviewed Dr. Zachary Kirk and Chris McKinley. We had a conversation about how much we should share on the first date, and it got me thinking about vulnerability. Check this out. In gay culture, there are many things we have to consent to when we are engaging with someone. We have to disclose HIV status at some point if someone is living with HIV or not. We have to talk about identity. Some people identify as he, him, or they, them, or all those things. But I don't think you should just do a data dump on the first date. Or is that what you're saying?
If you're literally someone who is in a relationship, you need to let me know that on the first date.
Absolutely.
That this is not just me, but this is me and her or me and him.
Okay, so clearly we're not talking about open relationships, although that is a whole conversation we could have. So when in the dating process do we figure out how to make it work? That conversation, we were talking a lot about what to talk about on the first date, how much information to glean from that. Now that we're talking about long distance, in my head, like I was saying before the break, it feels as if it's hard to even get to a place of considering long distance unless you're a little delusional.
Agreed.
So, Dre, do you just have to come in delusional? Is that the way to make dating work?
Honestly, I think you need to come in a little delulu. Have fun. Like, y'all gotta have some fun. I know we a little older. We all been a little hurt. We are a little bit mature now and things of that nature. But I'm like, I feel like, listen, I just really feel like God can bless me any type of way.
He sure can. And he
you
can
know what
bless
I'm
me with
saying?
somebody
Like,
I can
I'm just
touch,
like, I
can feel.
I'm very open-minded to how he can bless me. Because I'm like, throughout so many, you guys would not know me if I would have never been on Jack. I'm just going to be real. Like, if I would have never long distance dated and went in Detroit and talked to this guy in Atlanta to even come to Vision, I would have never met none of y'all. So I won't say I'm an advocate for long distance dating, but I'm a receipt from it. Like, I met this church. I met you guys. I met the pastor. I'm like, I wouldn't have had none of these experiences if it wasn't for long distance dating. If it didn't start out for that.
But the outcome of that isn't the relationship. The outcome of that is everything else. You could have moved to Atlanta on your own.
I could have, but it started off with that. Like, that's how God ended up bringing it together in the moment.
But that's what
I'm
you
in
want.
Detroit.
You're open to a situation that's long distance.
I am
and
open
you're committed
to
to
it.
saying that out loud. A lot of us lie, manipulate about what we want on the first date. To me, that your question about the questions on the first date, to me, you should be doing that in text message. Why are we waiting till we sit down to face-to-face interaction? I can get rid of your number through text.
Yeah.
You say something that's out of here, baby, God bless. Come to a sip of pain. I don't have to wait to have it is 2024. I can find out whether it's a dub very quickly.
And you can,
And
but
see,
that's why you won't waste any time like on the phone in the beginning in the first place.
But to that end, I think I am a little delusional because I don't do a whole lot of texting before a date. Like, if I hit you up on Jacked, my conversation is, "Hey, how you doing? You look good." And in 10 messages, I'm like, "What are you doing tomorrow?" I don't have a whole lot of conversation.
I'm gonna be clear. You don't have that
understand that
access
at
to me.
all.
You don't have that amount of access to me within whatever that time frame is. Baby, you'll never see me. Come to a sip and paint, you catch me on Instagram. In order for you to spend time with me, time is money for me. So I'm making money. For me to cut out time in my day, you must be valuable. And that's through conversation. That's through whatever we're having, the exchange. I must find it enjoyable, and I want that same exchange. We don't have to jump and meet next tomorrow because we might just be wasting our time. If it's on physical attraction, let's say that. We're trying to bang it out, then just bang it out. But if we're trying to date, I don't have to necessarily jump because it might not be the truth. Let's figure out what it is. Smoke and mirrors. Too early.
I definitely agree with that. Let's figure out what it is.
But the smoke and mirrors are more prevalent when you only texting them, ain't it?
No, because everybody who texts me doesn't need to see
anything.
me.
I can show you anything. I can send you anybody's picture through a text message. But until I'm sitting down having a conversation with you, I can't figure out whether or not what's the reality of it, right?
I just say that because you'll waste your time. If I was trying to go on a date with every person in Atlanta only who was trying to take me out, I wouldn't get nothing done. So I gotta get the crazies out. I gotta figure out what you're talking about, the intention.
But I'm not saying I'm not saying every message is.
But I think a good meat of that will be discovered through conversation. Whether that's voice text, whether y'all FaceTime, whatever that is, you should find out whether this person is a doable candidate to at least go on a date with before the initial conversation. Like, you can't just be like,
I think
conversation.
Same thing. Then.
Yeah.
What you got?
Well, two things. One, if I talk to you on Jack on Friday, I'm not meeting you on Saturday. That is ridiculous to me. I don't understand how these people do that, but that's a y'all thing.
Why is that ridiculous?
Because it just makes no sense. I don't know you. And then in the way that I'm meeting you, we still don't know each other. So why am I don't know. Just like he said, I'm not doing that. That makes no sense.
But it sounds like y'all are saying y'all are so, but that goes back to what Dre was saying. It sounds like y'all are just so closed off to connection.
No, it's not closed off to connection. It's just what makes sense. And for me, my brain does not understand that concept. Now, it may work for a lot of them out there because everybody want to meet me after communicating for like 14 bars. And I'm like, I don't understand how that works. My lips are not going to say, let's meet at such and such tomorrow. But again, that's a them thing, not a me thing. Your second situation is as far as what do you divulge on the first date? Baby, I'm an open book. Okay, so for me, I don't care what we're talking about. If it's my truth, I'm not trying to hide none of it. I'm not trying to say, oh, I can tell you this in 3 months because it's me. So for me, I feel like I would want the same back. And I saw that on the video was talking about, divulging your status and all that. A lot of people think that you need to divulge your status right before you have sex, like y'all in the midst of having sex and now all of a sudden, hey, whatever. That makes no sense.
They having a long distance relationship.
Yeah, that makes no sense to me. I feel like divulge any and everything that you feel comfortable with, but at the end of the day, I'm saying everything that I want to say. Yeah. If you ask me a question, I'm going to answer it.
But the weird thing for all of that is y'all are saying that we're having a lot. Y'all front load the conversation with we gonna text for however long, and then figure out if I want to meet you, and then have this eye-opening conversation. In my head, I'm just like that to me sounds like a waste of time.
For you, again, different strokes for different folks. But I'm not saying the beginning of us interacting is front loaded. I'm more of a responsive person. I respond. And so If you're trying to carry a conversation, I'll carry it with you.
Mm.
And we can decide for the both of us when we're going to, meet.
Y'all don't have to pay attention to the whiteboard.
I feel you on that.
I'm paying attention to the whiteboard.
No, that's fine. I got you.
Because I noticed you looked, but y'all don't have to
Because
worry about the whiteboard.
I'm in that mode
Right,
too,
I
but I get you.
understand.
They have a whiteboard back here where they're telling me to move on. So, Daddy, Rod, and Hope, because both of y'all are in relationships. So the first
Right.
question is, what did you talk about on your first date? Daddy.
Yeah.
It's interesting
I
because
do have fun
he'll
calling you
say
Daddy.
it's interesting because he'll say, and he still likes to say, I don't date. He either fucks or
Your
he's
guy?
just my guy.
Okay.
And I just look at him and I'm like, the devil is a liar. But for me, I'll say for me, first of all, because we connected sexually first. And it just so happened the way we connected sexually is he has his own podcast. He has a thing called Tub Talks. So he interviewed me on some
Tub,
very serious
T-U-B.
issues in his tub. So yeah, so I think
River
for us
runner.
it was a combination of the physical, but it was also a glimpse into like into how we think, how we see the world. So that was our first meeting. I'll put it that way. The second time we got together.
Wait. Your first meeting was in the tub.
Yeah. What had happened was
that's way too
what had
intimate for me.
happened was
I like
we
that.
were in the conference. We were in San
Delusional.
Juan, and it turns out he had known who I was because he had seen me at previous conferences. He had seen me speak. He had seen me present, and he thought, okay, let me get like maybe he'll be willing to do like be a guest in the tub, in for Tub Talks. I'm adventurous anyway, so at first all I was thinking was an interview naked in the tub. This is outside my comfort zone.
I hope you're not wearing clothes in the tub.
We're not.
I mean,
We're not.
clearly, it's a tub.
We're not. And again, me being a nudist, me being adventurous, being sex positive, body positive, I was like, this is something different. I've never done it before. And before we got into the tub, and I'm just being honest, my whole thing was I want the new experience.
Mm-hmm.
When he took off his clothes, and I've even told him that was the first time I saw him, and I was like, well, god damn, woo.
Okay, wait a minute. Pause right there because I want to tap Hope in. So you're saying that your first date with this person, your first encounter with the guy that you are in a relationship with now, was in a tub.
Yes.
And y'all was naked.
Yes.
I like him. He be living.
Okay. I mean, okay. Hope, help me understand. Because the reason why I'm very excited to have you, Hope, Jay, and Daddy Rod in this conversation is because y'all are on the opposite end of the dating spectrum. Y'all ain't in the dating pool like we are, the single girls, right? So Hope, help me understand. You and your husband now were traveling very frequently when you started. What does a first date look like when you have such hectic schedules?
So at the time, he was in preparation to be a firefighter. And so his schedule was like really tight. And it
Your
was
husband
also
is
really,
if I pass out, that's who I want to be stuck with.
yeah, no, he has all of the
He
things.
has all of the things. Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
he has all of the things. But we had to kind of catch each other. So I was working during the day, and then after that, I was going and doing like 2 3 hour long conversations on different platforms
Mm-hmm.
every single day. And so we decided that our time frame was gonna have to be on a Friday night around like 8 o'clock after both of us had had a nap. And he had to drive from like Baltimore. So
How
our
far is
first
that for the
date,
people who aren't in the area? How far is Baltimore to where you are?
depending on traffic, it was like an hour 45 minutes.
Okay,
It just depended. Um, but on a Friday night, it's like an hour and a half because people trying to get into DC. So
got
it
it.
was always like a really long thing. But our first date was at my house, and we agreed to like watch a
Was it in a
documentary that was
tub?
about It was not in a tub, and the clothes were on. It was not in. It was not in a tub, and I wanted him to meet at my house because at the time I had a roommate, and it was a trans man and his son who I trusted. So just in case like anything jumped off and I felt unsafe, I had two men in the house with me that I knew would like, come outside swinging. Um, and so he comes over after both of us had a nap, and it was really great. And we turned on this documentary, and we watched this documentary about, I think it was like tigers or something like that, because we were both just like, we big old nerds over here, child. And so we watching this documentary, and there was something about like the way that like the male tigers operated versus the way that the female tigers operated, and we got into a debate, and I kicked him out.
Oh,
About tigers.
I thought you was gonna be like, and I took him to the tub.
I'm so
No.
weak. Okay, tell me.
I kicked him out.
Absolutely not.
That was a good
No
debate.
shade to the tub. Now, granted enough, the tub that's a memorable first date, but a tiger documentary as well, that's my kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so the question for y'all, Daddy Rod, and I hope I'll stay with y'all, is because you are in relationships, right? Both of you have experience either in long distance or currently in a long distance relationship. Do you think obviously they work, but how do you make them work? If you gave one piece of advice, Hope, to make a long distance relationship work, what would it be?
Tell me the tea, Hope.
Communicate. Communicate. I talk to my husband every day, at least 3 times a day, and we're purposeful about that. And when we don't have the capacity for that, we also name that. But what I do to also like circumvent moments where I might be busy or moments where I can't like respond right away is that I also have things that are set up in my phone, like shortcuts. So whenever my husband texts me, "I love you," he gets an "I love you" text back, whether I'm actually touching my phone or not. So he'll never feel like he has to wait for that. So any message that my husband sends that has the words "I love you" in them, he gets a message automatically back from me.
Like that.
Every morning at 8 a.m., there's a shortcut that sends him a good morning text message. And every night at 9:30 p.m., he gets a message from me that says, "Good night, my love." And he never has to worry about whether or not he's been on my
You
mind,
got a
because I
Genius
literally
bar over there. You got a whole goddamn Apple store at your house.
look.
I love it.
I programmed him into my life because I never want him to feel like he's not important to me.
You
So
programmed.
outside
That's
of
the T-shirt, sis. That's the T-shirt.
yeah.
I've programmed him into my life.
Yeah, he's never gonna feel like he's not a priority or that he's not important to me outside of the idea of the fact that like we still communicate, we make the space and we make the time, and when we don't have the space or the time, we communicate that to each other. And I think that honestly, you want to stay in any relationship, the object of communicating your desires and your needs
Verity.
is important. Yeah, they're varied, but they're important.
Okay, and Daddy Rod, if you had to give one piece of advice on how to make long distance dating work, what would it be?
I'm very similar to Hope in terms of communicate, also being very honest about what you communicate. And I think for us, one of the things that we often communicate is how important, even with our busy lives, we both now have our own businesses. He's a therapist. I'm an independent consultant. He's in DC. I'm in DC. He's in New York. But one of the things we're very intentional about is making sure that we connect, whether it's by text or one of my favorite things is our Zoom dates. We have Zoom dates at least once or twice a week. In fact, after this podcast, we're going to have one tonight as well, because he asked me, he said, "You want to say hi?" And that's kind of our code for, or his code for, "I want to connect with you." So those Zoom dates to me are very important because that helps me, and I think that helps both of us stay connected to each other.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would say definitely communicate, make the time, and be clear what your intentions are.
Okay. I appreciate that. Now I got a whole bunch of follow-up questions that we do not have time for, but we'll be right back. Up next, now that we've covered the when you should be open about what you want, we'll be talking about how you should do it. But I want to know from y'all, when do you think it's best to tell someone what you want? Be sure to subscribe to our Patreon for even more dope conversations to take place in the back room. This is Long Distance Dating Explained. We'll be right back. What is stigma? I truly believe that it comes up when you think something can't happen to you. Like when we think we could never be femme, so we end up with femphobia laced all up and through our dating profiles. Or when we don't be out there like that, so we slut shame people for doing openly what we try to sneak and do privately. But there aren't too many spaces where stigma rises to a criminal level like it does with HIV.
Knowingly gave her HIV and never told her he was infected.
We're talking to 4 Black men from across the country, all living with HIV. I want to see how stigma comes up in their lives and what we can all do to overcome it. I think I lead a pretty normal life. I'm a podcaster and a content creator. I'm pursuing my passions. So many of us, Black gay people, either live with a reality or a fear of HIV. Any movement toward a future where HIV is less of a part of who we are, I don't know that I can think of anything more impactful to our culture. Every conference I go to, I get noticed because of the bag.
No, for real. So like they was asking me, I got noticed. Somebody pulled me aside. They were like, "Oh my God, I really love your bag," and they came up to start talking to me about how they can get connected with Dear Black Gay Men.
I mean,
like,
it's a great marketing tool. It's a great marketing tool, and it goes with most of our merch.
And then, child, I was at an undisclosed facility because they ain't a sponsor. I
thought it was because you was at a sex party.
No.
Okay. That's why this
room,
episode
maybe.
Not a back room.
That's why this episode of Dear Black Gay Men Podcast is brought to you in part by MIH bags. Everywhere I go, I get noticed from my DBGM hoodie and my MIH. All I want is everything bag. Hold it up, Verity. That is actually my bag. I love it. It's the perfect bag to throw everything in when I'm rushing to the studio, or an overnight bag when I'm doing whatever I would be doing overnight.
You almost made me cry when you gifted me my All I Want Is Everything.
The All I Want Is Everything duffel.
Duffel bag for my birthday, and I get stopped every time I wear it. It's the perfect everyday bag or work bag or even a bag for the airport when I'm going on a nice trip.
That's not what the script says.
I don't care. You know I ain't been to the gym.
You can shop MIH Bags' full collection of accessories and apparel at mihbags.com. They're a Black queer-owned business that carries t-shirts and duffels and toiletry bags and so much more for all your accessory needs. Use code DBGM15 to take 15% off at checkout. That's mihbags.com. The link is in the description.
You kind of
I've never
me.
been on. Oh, welcome back. Welcome back to Thursday, right here on Dear Black Gay Men Podcast. John, run through a couple of those comments real quick. Do we have any? Willie Sullivan says, it is a waste of time to text with someone for weeks before you... Willie is on my side about the texting. How long do y'all text? Since y'all said that y'all don't meet initially. So how long would you be in the DMs with someone?
I'm weird. Okay, because I'm sure no one else here with me does this, right? But specifically for Jack, people catfish still today. I don't know what that is.
Yes.
For all of you out there,
Get beat up, honey.
You're weird. Okay, but for me, I like video messaging. I like audio messaging.
Like on Jack, or are you talking about
just in general? But yes, on
like
Jack. Like from Jack, I'm not giving you my phone number right away, so then we can just go talking on the phone. No, we can continue this through Jack.
That part.
Because I don't really know you that well, so let's exchange. But for me, it's very clear on my profile. Send me what I want if you want to engage. So video messaging and stuff like that is really nice to me. I'm a visual guy.
Okay.
So I'm not saying we have to do that for 3 months, but I'll know maybe in the first 2 to 3 days if there's a vibe at least, and then it'll pique my interest. But
Okay.
That's for me.
How about you, Jay? How long do you stay in the DMs before you like exchange a number or take it to the next level?
It just depends. The
Before you
publicist
get
in me,
delusional.
I ain't gonna be delusional. I'm getting my Olivia Pope on. My publicist is looking up your shit. When you hit me up, I'm looking like, okay, who do you know? What commonalities what are we into? A red flag for me is when you write me and you ask me what I do.
Oh.
I automatically am not interested because you can't read. My page tells what I do.
Oh, like that.
So when a man says, oh, well, what do you do? And I go, good day.
Mine, I think now, granted enough, that particular question does get me, but mine is if you ask me anything that's in my profile.
Yeah.
Right.
Like because what it tells me is you did not read you're not interested enough in me to read about me.
That part.
Right.
So why now that would be a waste of
My
time.
man has to be well read.
DMV Dre says most relationships start off delusional. I mean, you meet M-E-A-T. You meet this guy and think that he's about to be your everything, and then 3 to 5 months y'all living together. Nah, I ain't there no more. But I've been there many times in my adult life.
And that's the problem.
I mean, just a little lightly delusional, right?
It's fun.
It's fun.
It's fun to waste your time.
That's why he like these lightly toxic niggas.
Listen.
Okay, we're gonna skip down to the next part of the conversation. Welcome back to Thirsty Thursday right here on Dear Black Gay Men Podcast. For those that follow us, Hope, Giselle, Consciously, and I came together to form what we call the Unlikely Throuple, named from the Hope Giselle herself. We've been on a speaking tour since October, and our first stop was in Atlanta. And since then, I posted some of my thoughts on the throuple, and y'all cancel me. Check this out. I don't feel safe around straight people.
Never fucking said it.
Let me know in the comments if that's you too, because it just got a little more complicated. Consciously is a straight man. He said it many times on the show. But in my head, Hope Giselle is a woman married to a man.
I'm a very binary trans woman.
Just like a straight couple. So if they're both in other gender relationships, is it a step forward or a step back for me to feel like I'm up there with two straight people? I mean, if he's a man attracted to and married to a woman, and she's a woman attracted to and married to a man,
I'm here to call a thing a thing.
let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. I hope Giselle is still here, and then I want to welcome our other castmate of the third of the Unlikely Throuple, Consciously. Are y'all there?
Woo, what's up?
Hey, Lee, how you doing?
Doing good.
So now the true tea is the girls cancel me in the comments. They ran my name all through the mud in the comments because I've been called everything but a child of God because in my head y'all are straight. Now, granted enough, Hope, you have confided in me that you don't identify as a straight woman, but aren't y'all? But the Venn diagram of both of you and straight people, we acknowledge that there's a lot of overlap, right?
Absolutely.
So then, So is it the question that I raise is it a step forward or a step back for me to see you, Hope, as a woman married to a man and think straight?
No. I think my thing is perception is something that does not belong to me. And so I can't tell a person how to perceive me. What I can do is correct that perception once I know what it is, right? But I can't change the way that somebody is going to perceive me. That's above me, literally.
The thing I seen the most in the comments came from other trans women specifically, being like, leave it to the cis gay man trying to erase the T. So for me, it's like I've been very mindful of how I respond to those comments, not being, you feel me, a part of the community in the way that y'all are. So it's been very interesting to say the least. You know what I mean?
Now I will say that the growing up that I have done, now being in such close connection with you, Hope, and understanding a lot of how you explain to me your trans experience, is the T is an umbrella. It ain't like the L, the G, and the B. Like bisexual, I've learned is an umbrella to a degree, but gay means gay, lesbian means lesbian, but trans is a gender expression and not a sexual identity. That is what I had to learn. But also, you have told me, Hope, that the trans identifier is something that we cis people put on you because a part of you says that I'm just a woman, right?
Yeah. So
then, if you're a woman, again, is it a step forward for me to just be like, she's a woman, she's married to a man? Is that erasure or is that acknowledgement?
I think it depends on who you're talking about. I think that there are a lot of trans girls that, to use a term that me and Lee know that there's a negative connotation around, that are just going to be social justice warriors for transness, right? And I think that for those people, it's going to feel like a step back or a progressive step back. And then also, I'm acknowledging that I sit in a little bit of a privilege. I think a lot of, not every single one of them, for those of y'all that are watching this, that's going to feel like you getting slighted, right? This,
Mm-hmm.
not every trans girl, but there are some girls that don't sit in the privilege to be able to like be assumed to be a straight trans woman. And so
Yes.
there's a need, or there's this idea that they've been erased because they don't have the privilege to be able to be with a man, whether he's cis or not. And people assume that that's a straight couple because she's visibly trans. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of people feel erased when you take any of us and say, this couple is not queer, because it makes them feel like their relationship is then being null and void or put into something that's not, that they don't recognize. Because I think that a lot of people in the comments, a lot of people were saying that my relationship with my husband is queer, which I would agree, right? But
It
when
ain't.
you
Wait,
are,
wait, 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 wait,
Mhm.
wait, wait. You would call your relationship with your husband a queer relationship?
Because I'm trans and I'm also not straight.
That
And I
part.
think, like, let me not be delusional about this. Like a couple of years ago, there was a
Delusional.
trans
Delusional is
woman.
the word of the day.
It is, right?
Okay.
Like, but let's not be delusional about this. I had a trans girl, Carlisha, love her to death. She's in Atlanta. And years ago, Carlisha and I were chilling and we were eating, and she said, "Sis, can I tell you something problematic?" And I was like, "Sure." To make a long story short, Carlisha said that she was no longer going to defend men's sexuality, meaning that she was no longer going to defend the men that date us, love us, want to fuck us as straight
Uh-huh.
men, especially for those of them who seek and solely want to date the girls that have not had surgery. Because part of you has to be a little bit bisexual to be enthralled with the penis.
That part.
And while a lot of that was like, "Oh, bitch, what?" Because at the time I had a penis, I understood where she was coming from. And I think that still, even without one, there is something that is a little queer about men who engage with trans women with the understanding that we are trans, because part of you is going into that situation with the preparation in your mind that you may have to deal with the dick, whether I have one or not. And so once you've made peace with that and you still want to be in that relationship, I think that it's inherently queer. I ain't gonna say you gay, but you're not straight.
Hmm.
It's so complex.
I don't know if you heard that whole,
She
but
did that.
literally everybody in here was like, hmm.
Because
I
people are
get it.
delusional.
I
Because
get
people
it.
are okay, okay. Now the irony of all of that, Lee, and that you maybe you have a different relationship with Hope, but me and Hope ain't never discussed anatomy because we've never had a reason to. Now, as a straight person though, in these spaces, and I'm going to ask you to represent straight people for a second, but why is there this infatuation with anatomy when it comes to transness?
I think that because it deviates outside of what we call the norm, I think that many people are just intrigued of policing that. The word I want to introduce to this conversation is heteronormativity and how we normalize heterosexuality a lot. And I think that because we like to normalize heterosexuality in many different instances, where I get the term heteronormative from, I think that it makes a lot of cisgender heterosexual people always scribe to want to normalize what we believe and see as being the default. To me, I think when it comes to like the conversation of do straight men or do men that date trans women, are they queer, are they gay, this, that, and the other, I think that that conversation becomes a very complex one, especially because you know what I'm saying, we talk about trans women being women. So if we talk about a man being with a trans woman and now we're questioning that man's sexuality, I think that starts to, you know what I'm saying, muddy waters a bit.
But I
But
think that
that's me coming from my straight perspective.
But I was gonna say, I think that the thing about it is, I'm not saying that a man can't identify as straight if he is attracted to me, or like my husband still identifies himself as straight. I think personally, though, and I think that like it's, again, my perception about you is not something that you have to own. It is mine to own because that is my
Oh,
perception,
that's so
right?
good.
That was so
You know what
fucking
I'm
good.
saying?
Come on, maturity.
And so it's one of those things where it's just like my perception might be that men who are attracted to engage, whether you have gone out on a limb and actually gone all the way, or you just watch us inject your dick at home, is that there is a part of you that is inherently attracted to something that is innately masculine. And there's no way around
Yes.
that for me.
Okay.
Howsoever, I understand that a lot of men are just visual and visceral creatures, which means that you see a woman, you see the curves, you see the whatever, the packaging works. Whatever is in that box, you gonna slurp it up because that's what you like. The package that it came in works for you. And
Fucking
so
parts and not people.
parts and not people, right? Like
Okay.
I think that
Okay, so the question I have for both of you, and Lee, I'll direct this to you first because you brought heteronormativity into the conversation. So me processing, like the real that we said, me processing y'all as some straight people, again, me owning my perception of the two of y'all, is that me projecting heteronormativity, or is that just me being, is that me projecting heteronormativity? Let me start there.
I would say, yeah, I would say that was you sliding into heteronormativity where you was just viewing, you feel me, Hope's identity based off of who she's attracted to and not thinking about the gender performance of being trans. I think that that's where it became, you feel me, heteronormative, where it's like, how can I fit into this frame? How I understand what you was doing. Oh, you trans woman, you're a woman, you married to a man, straight shit. And it's just like, oh, okay, you know what I'm saying? I get it, you know what I mean? But it doesn't absolve from the linking to heteronormativity. That's what I would say. I think that my grandfather always said the pathway to hell was paved with good intentions. So I don't think he was being malicious. I don't think that you was being, you feel me, I don't think he was trying to be ugly at all. But I do think that it showed your blind spot and how, you feel me, sometimes we are seduced by heteronormativity, and that's the framework and how we view a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? May it be violent or not violent, that it happens, and sometimes happens unintended, but it doesn't change that it's heteronormativity.
agreed.
And that is the Unlikely Throuple. Okay, so we are going, the tour continues. Clearly we won't finish this conversation here. The next stop on the Unlikely Throuple tour is November 21st on the legendary Howard University campus in Washington, D.C. I'm so excited about it. Tickets are free, but RSVP is required. To secure your seat, the ticket link is in the description. A special thank you to the HIV Vaccine Trials Network for helping bring the three of us together and make this possible. We will be right back. I think I lead a pretty normal life. I'm a podcaster and a content creator. I'm pursuing my passions. So many of us, Black gay people, either live with a reality or a fear of HIV. Any movement toward a future where HIV is less of a part of who we are, I don't know that I can think of anything more impactful to our culture. At the top of the show, I said we had a huge announcement, so here it goes. We're launching the Banned Book Club. The BBC is for queer folks who like to read but need a little accountability, or people who love to read and want somebody to talk about books with, or maybe you've never read anything that wasn't assigned to you. This is a new way of connecting with our culture, supporting LGBTQ authors, and having dope conversations in the process. This is how it's going to work. I'm going to announce our current book club selection right here on Dear Black Gay Men podcast. We'll read it together and talk about it on IG and our BBC broadcast channel. Then we'll have a dope-ass conversation. You can chop it up with us in the studio, stream it on Patreon, have a watch party with your good Judies. Everybody can join. Our goal is always to get some dope people together to have some dope conversations. So go to Dear Black Gay Men on Instagram, join the Banned Book Club broadcast channel, and prepare to have a time. Over at least the next 4 years, we're going to be in a constant battle against the erasure of our stories. And that's why I'm so excited about the Banned Book Club. My goal is to create the world's biggest book club for Black queer people where we can read our stories and talk about our culture. That's why our first book club pick is, drumroll please, it is Dear by Men by J.R. Yusuf. I don't think I've ever read a book that helped me understand how broad and far-reaching our culture is. Most of the gay books that I've read have been about me. They've been characters that walk and talk and look like me and love like I do.
And that's important. Hearing and seeing ourselves in literature is important, but I also think it's important to expand our understanding of who we are and how our kinsmen navigate the world around us. That's why I'm so excited about this book. Links to pick up your copy of Dear by Men are in the description. You can follow at Dear Black Gay Men on IG and join the BAM Book Club broadcast channel, and we'll be reading the book together. Then, on December 21st, we'll close out the year with a conversation right here in the back room that everyone can join, whether you are reserving a seat in the studio or streaming online. If you want to join us in the studio for the discussion, you can reserve your seat at dearblackgaymen.com/BBC. I can't wait to share this book with you. That was our show, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.